Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, since day one of the Trump administration, Republicans have done everything they can to cater to an extreme right-wing base by undermining women's access to the health care they need and the health care providers that they trust. They've moved to roll back requirements that insurance companies include birth control as an essential health benefit, which would mean millions of women would go back to paying extra for birth control on top of their coverage. They've held votes on extreme abortion bans that would get in between a woman and her doctor. They've jammed the courts, even the Supreme Court, with partisans who've made clear they share the extreme and frightening goal of overturning Roe v. Wade and taking away a woman's constitutional right to safe, legal abortion in the United States of America. And most recently, the Trump administration has put forward a deeply harmful rule that would jeopardize access to affordable reproductive health care for the millions of men and women who depend on Title X, our nation's family planning program, which historically has had bipartisan support. If this rule goes into effect, providers at health centers that receive Title X funding will be blocked, gagged from even telling patients about where and how to get a safe, legal abortion as part of a discussion of reproductive health care options. And the rule would impose new, medically unnecessary requirements that would make it impossible for Planned Parenthood centers, which serve 41% of the Title X patients, to continue to participate. 4 million people, disproportionately young people, low-income women, and women of color go to Title X funded centers, including Planned Parenthood centers for birth control, for life-saving cancer screenings, for STD tests, and more each year. And this rule puts care they depend on in jeopardy. Madam President, Republicans here in the Capitol may have no idea what it would mean for patients to lose access to the providers that they trust and the affordable care they need. But that's not because those patients and their doctors and their communities were not speaking up. They were. People across the country, women and men, doctors, city and county health officials, religious groups, advocates, told this administration as it was developing this rule that they did not want to see providers at Title X barred from giving them medically sound information or have patients be denied access to providers they trust at Planned Parenthood because Republicans think that they know better. But Madam President, the final rule the Trump administration released shows they ignored those who know personally how much it matters to have unbiased quality care at Title X centers, including at Planned Parenthood. Well, Madam President, Republicans might have ignored those voices, as Democrats were not going to. So today, I am releasing a memo highlighting statements from people across the country that were submitted in strong opposition to this rule. And I want to make absolutely sure that Republicans have every opportunity to hear what patients and providers have to say. I want to give you a few examples. One patient called her visit to a Planned Parenthood to get a pap smear a, quote, lifesaver. Another wrote, quote, young people like me rely on Title X for access to family planning services at the provider of our choice. A mother and sister from Nevada told the Trump administration, quote, I too have sisters and 4 daughters. We are capable, adept, and able to make decisions for ourselves. We want to make informed decisions. Withholding information is misinformation and manipulation. And Madam President, county health officials and healthcare providers repeatedly urged the administration this rule would, quote, interfere in the doctor-patient relationship and was, quote, an infringement on the ethical principles that medical providers adhere to with potentially, quote, irreversible impacts in struggling communities. Now, since it apparently needs to be said on the Senate floor, I'd like to remind my colleagues that what these patients, healthcare providers, and community leaders are saying about the importance of a woman's ability to make her own healthcare decisions is not controversial. People in this country overwhelmingly agree women should be able to get birth control, that no matter how much money you make, where you live, you should be able to get a cancer screening that could save your life. And yes, that women should be able to exercise their constitutional right to safe, legal abortion. So today, I challenge Republicans to read the memo I'm releasing. Listen to the women and men that this rule hurts, and the people working to help them get the care that they need. And then join Democrats in standing up against this dangerous, unethical step backward. Because, Madam President, right now it's pretty clear. Once again, Republicans want to make women's health a political battlefield instead of a serious priority. Let me be clear. Democrats are going to keep standing up for a woman's right to the care that is right for her. We are going to continue to stand up for women's access to affordable birth control, for women's constitutionally protected rights, and against those who want to put a politician in the doctor's office where they do not ever belong. And if that's a fight Republicans want to have, we're ready. And so are people across the country, like the brave ones who spoke up against this very harmful rule. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.